And up next, we will hear from a really fascinating group, the Landfill Harmonic, as known as the Recycled Orchestra, where the kids play instruments made from recycled materials. And the music director, Fabio Chavez, was happy to be part of this celebration and wanted to do that by giving us a few really interesting videos, including a TEDx talk discussing the group, as well as the performances of the group and going into what they're about and their really interesting story. And something really striking to me was that one of the members of the community of Cateora said a violin is worth more than a house there. And it's just such an innovative kind of instrument building, which you will see in the videos, and they have a really special sound. And it just goes to show all the ways that music can be made. And these kids just find it so fulfilling, saying they get butterflies in their stomach when they play the violin, or their life would just be meaningless without music. And it's just a really potent idea, and I think you'll feel the same way when watching. And it really just reminds us of the profoundly personal yet universal impact of music and how people and communities all around the world express that.
Hello. My name is Fabio Chavez. I'm from Paraguay. My English, finito. My translator is Anne. Nosotros venimos de Paraguay.
We come from Paraguay.
Venimos del vertedero más grande del Paraguay,
We come from the biggest landfill of Paraguay,
donde toda la gente, toda la ciudad tira su basura.
where everybody from the city throws away their trash.
En este lugar convertimos la basura en música.
In this place, we transform garbage into music.
Las personas en este lugar han aprendido a responder sus necesidades a partir de lo que encuentran en la basura.
The people from this place have learned to fulfill their first needs with the use of garbage.
Esta es una casa hecha totalmente con basura.
This is a house made completely of garbage.
Todo lo que tiene esta casa fue encontrado en la basura.
Everything that is part of this house was found at the landfill.
En Cateura, un violín puede costar más que una casa.
In Cateura, one violin can cost more than a house.
Entonces, ¿cómo enseñar música en este lugar, de esta manera?
So how do you teach music in a place like this?
Aprovechamos la destreza, los conocimientos de las personas de Cateura para responder sus necesidades de la basura.
We use the knowledge that people have gained by using garbage for their first needs.
Y las utilizamos para construir instrumentos musicales.
And we use it to build musical instruments.
El mismo material que estaba en la casa ahora está en un violín.
The same material that was used in a house is now used to make a violin.
Este violín está hecho con una lata de pintura,
This violin is made from a paint tin,
madera de pallet,
wood pallets,
una fuente para pizza
a baking tray to make pizza,
y un tenedor.
and a fork.
Todo de la basura.
Everything that was thrown away.
Otro instrumento es un violonchelo,
Another instrument is a cello
que es un tambor de aceite.
that's made from tins for olive oil.
También es madera de pallet,
The wooden pallets are also used.
un mazo para carne.
A hammer to flatten meat.
En Paraguay se come mucha carne.
In Paraguay, we eat a lot of meat.
Aquí creo que no tanto.
Here, I don't think so much.
un artefacto para hacer pasta,
a utensil to make pasta.
otro instrumento, un tambor,
Another instrument is a drum,
está hecho con madera de pallet,
and this is made with pallet wood,
pequeños pedazos de metal
small pieces of metal,
y radiografías.
and X-rays.
Otro instrumento como la guitarra
Another instrument is the guitar.
está hecha con la misma madera
It's made with the same wooden pallets
y 2 latas de dulce.
and 2 tins where we have our sweets.
Otro instrumento que es un saxofón
We also have a saxophone.
en si bemol o bemol. En si bemol es una tonalidad. ¿Hay músicos aquí? B flat. Oh, ok, thank you. B flat.
Thank you.
Okay.
In B flat.
Está hecho con un tubo de agua.
It's made with a water pipe.
Está hecho también con mangos de cubiertos y cucharas,
It's made with the ends of spoons or forks,
monedas,
coins,
latas de maíz,
tins for sweet corn,
botones,
buttons,
tapas de cerveza,
the tops of beer bottles,
cervezas de Paraguay.
Paraguayan beer, of course.
Con estos instrumentos enseñamos a los niños música.
With these instruments, we teach these children music.
Muchos niños aprenden sus primeras notas con estos instrumentos.
A lot of children learn to play music with these instruments.
Estos instrumentos no tienen ningún valor monetario.
These instruments don't have any economic value.
No se pueden vender,
They can't be sold,
no se pueden robar,
they can't be mortgaged,
no se pueden empeñar.
and they can't be stolen.
Solamente tienen valor en las manos de los niños que tocan música.
They only have value when they're in the hands of the children playing the music.
Muchos de estos niños han aprendido a cuidar algo propio, nunca han tenido algo propio.
These children have never owned something themselves,
Entonces, tienen que aprender a cuidar algo propio.
so they have to be taught how to take care of something.
Muchos de estos niños no tienen un espacio físico donde guardar estos instrumentos en sus casas.
A lot of these children don't have a physical space where they can take care of these instruments.
Y estos instrumentos son perfectos para su realidad.
So these instruments are perfect for them to learn with.
Lo importante no son los instrumentos, son los niños, las personas.
The important thing is not the instruments, but the important thing are the children.
Con los niños que han desarrollado un proceso con nosotros,
With the children that have gone through a process with the group,
hemos formado una orquesta.
they have formed an orchestra.
Una orquesta como cualquier otra orquesta.
An orchestra just like any other orchestra,
Con el pequeño detalle que tocamos instrumentos de basura.
with a small difference that we play with instruments made of garbage.
Esta orquesta les permite a los jóvenes y a los niños desarrollar valores,
This orchestra allows kids to learn about values,
valores que en su comunidad no lo pueden desarrollar.
Values that in their community they can't develop.
La orquesta no busca formar músicos necesariamente.
But una vez más.
La orquesta no busca formar músicos.
The orchestra doesn't search to develop musicians.
Busca formar buenas personas.
They want to help form good people.
Creemos que la orquesta, nuestra orquesta, puede dar esta oportunidad a estos niños y a estos jóvenes.
And we believe that the orchestra can help these children and youngsters to develop these values
A partir de la basura.
using garbage.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Bueno, queremos invitarles a que escuchen cómo transformamos la basura en música.
We would like to now invite you to listen to how we transform garbage into music.
¿Quieren escucharlo?
Do you want to hear it?
Thank you.
Muy buenas noches, mi nombre es Víctor y toco el cello.
Good evening, my name is Victor and I play the cello.
Me gustaría invitar a mis compañeros de la orquesta que interpreten una canción conmigo.
I'd like to invite some more companions from the orchestra to play the next song with me.
Gracias.
Mi nombre es Ada Maribel Ríos Bogado, tengo 13 años y toco el violín.
Me llamo Juan Manuel Chávez, más conocido como Baby, tengo 19 años y toco el cello. Este cello está hecho de una lata de aceite, la madera tirada en la basura y las clavijas son de una vieja cuchara para golpear la carne y para hacer el ñoquis. Y suena así.
Una comunidad como Cateura no es un lugar para tener un violín. De hecho, un violín cuesta más que su casa.
En ese grupo acá mismo encontramos el colador de violín. Y de ese empezamos los instrumentos reciclados. La familia que acá vive recicla todo lo que hay en la basura y se vende. No pensaba antes que yo voy a hacer ese instrumento. Y me siento demasiado feliz cuando estoy viendo a un niño que está tocando un violín reciclado.
Cuando ya escucho el sonido del violín siento como mariposas en el estómago, así una sensación que no sé cómo voy a explicar.
Bueno, la orquesta de instrumentos reciclados es una orquesta que toca instrumentos hechos con la basura.
Mi vida sería, sin la música estaría decore y por
La gente se da cuenta que no tenemos que tirar la basura muy fácilmente. Y no tenemos que desechar a las personas muy fácilmente.
¡Fuerte, fuerte!
And now you will hear the London Children's Ensemble perform Ode to Joy of Beethoven's Ninth, which is one of Beethoven's most beloved and well-known themes. And the video is a really heartwarming conglomeration of the individual children on Zoom performing each of their own parts, making the experience as communal as possible in these times of COVID, where we cannot yet play together alongside each other in person.
Hello everyone, this is Xishan from London with 16 wonderful young musicians playing Ode to Joy to celebrate Beethoven's birthday.
In the next video, you'll hear from a New York City public school student talking so movingly about what music and Beethoven mean to them and the role it has in their lives. And they talk about Beethoven being part of many childhood experiences as well. And I think we all remember hearing Ode to Joy or Feuillis or various themes from his symphonies in movies, from Mission Impossible to Dead Poets Society to Before Sunrise to The Breakfast Club, and many, many more. He remains a prominent presence in so many facets of our world today, and that's evident from the words of this insightful student.
So I would say Beethoven means a lot to everyone, and his music helped shape many childhood experiences. Many of them were, for me, many of them were in the car when my parents were playing music and classical music and sonatas instead of trendy music, poppy music. And so it helped me become very interested in taking piano class, and it's ultimately the reason why I'm taking it now, because of Beethoven and his music. And when people think of pianists, the first person to come to mind is either Beethoven or Mozart, but for most people it's Beethoven because of his famous songs like Moonlight Sonata, Feuillis, etc. And so yeah, I would say Beethoven is a big part of many people's childhood experiences. Yeah, thank you.
Hi there. If you're just tuning in, this is the 24-hour Beethoven Livestream Marathon commemorating the 250th birthday of Ludwig van Beethoven. We now have an interview from Germany's one and only Elizaveta Fediukova. Enjoy.
С днем рождения, Beethoven. Alles Gute zum Geburtstag, Beethoven.
Lisa, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that you were born in Russia and then you moved to Germany when you were 11, is it?
No. Yes, I was born in Russia, really. And I came to Germany to study here at the age of 16. So when I entered school in my country, then I came here to get a high education.
I see. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood? You, I know that you started playing the violin at the age of 3. What was the impetus? Do you remember when you started?
Well, of course, not I remember, but my parents, what they told me. Well, I have older sister, and she actually was she motivated me to start to play violin, because she chose violin as her instrument also at the age she was child, 6 or 7 years old. And when I was born, I just saw how she practiced, and it was something charming for me, really. At the age of 3, I told, I said to my parents that, Mom, Dad, I really want to try. So at that time, really, it was something very unusual that such a little kid asks parents just to play violin. But we decided just for fun to start something new with music, like a game or something like that. But now you see what's happened.
So did you always play classical music?
Yes, always. So first instrument was violin. Then 1 year later, I started to sing, then to play piano. Then I had harmony and all that stuff, really professional level, and only classical always. It was my dream, and that's what I like.
I had no idea. So not only do you play the violin, you also sing and you played the piano.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, multi-talented. Whose music influenced you the most as a child? What stuck with you as a little girl?
A little girl, actually, I don't know. I just liked what happened to me. Everything was very interesting, and even my teacher, my first teacher was very young woman, I would say, because she only ended her school, and it was like experimental thing to practice with me. And even how she played, how my sister played, it was inspiration for me as well. Of course, when I started just really to study music as my profession, very officially, so to say, and I learned some really great musicians like David Oistrakh, Heifetz, and so on. I took from each one something special for me, just to build myself as a person in music world. So everyone, I would say, just music generally, what is it, is inspiration for me.
And what composer or composers were your greatest influence as a child?
Well, as a child, maybe not something serious. Tchaikovsky, maybe I would say, because it's very beautiful, you know, and yeah, such style. I cannot say only one composer because it's very different thing. But I'm more a deep person, even when I was a child.
And as you grew up, which composers influenced you the most? Because not only did you play the violin, you also sang and you played the piano.
Yes, well, piano, it's not so high level as violin, just for myself, so to say. But for composer, I adore Shostakovich very much, and Beethoven, of course, too. So this direction, I would say. So like all musicians are shared between Mozart and Beethoven, so I'm more in Beethoven direction.
And when was the first time you heard Beethoven?
Wow, good question. Well, I heard Beethoven quite young. So I was a little girl, of course, but I could not understand how great is it, of course. So when I started to practice with Beethoven, I was already quite, so it happened in Germany first. So it was not so little already. And of course, I was so astounded how great is it, how genius he wrote it.
Which of his compositions is your favorite?
Concerto,
I mean, he wrote many,
concerto.
I know that. Yeah, oh, I see, the Violin Concerto. It's beautiful. Yes, absolutely. And have you played it? Have you practiced it? The Violin Concerto?
Of course, yes. 3 movements. It's great job.
You played for us the Violin Sonata number 10 in G major, the Opus 96. What is it about this piece that moves you?
Well, first I should say that this last sonata is really special because Beethoven composed it after really many years. So it was a big pause after 9 sonata and this 10. So like everyone thought that he would never write again some sonata, but suddenly this 10th, it was already really like his late work. And I guess that he put really deep meaning in this sonata. That's why, remember I told you that I'm more deep person. That's why it's easier for me to understand such music, to understand his personality and to bring this idea to people. So I really like it. It's very beautiful also, especially second movement. I love it, this harmony and how he wrote it.
Yes, this belongs to his late period. And do you think that the fact that you learned to sing as well as play the piano influence how you play the violin, how influence your musicianship?
Sure, it influences, especially that I can play piano, because you know how we work with music, with score. So I never use only my violin part, especially in sonatas. I use the score which pianists play, because then you see all harmony, and when you can play it on piano as well, it's, of course, it's easier. So you see this full picture of what's going on in the score. And when you listen to this music, so all minute details are here in your mind. And then immediately, so you can react what, because sometimes violinists has just only a long note, right? But pianists play really life is there in his hands, and you have to know it to understand it, and to develop this your long note somehow, just how harmony goes. And of course it helps me.
And tell me, I know that you have won many international competitions, including the David Oistrakh competition, who is one of your heroes, violin heroes. So you are very much immersed in the classical music world. How do you think, having started to play the violin at the age of 3, how do you think this lifetime of practice of classical music transformed you as an individual from the inside?
Well, you know, like all around in the whole world, people say that classical music helps a lot to develop like intellectual side of each child, right? So even if it's not some professional level, just for you, just to learn it. And you know, like we have many spheres of art, like painting, writing, literature, right? So many, but everything you can see, so you can visualize it. But music, you have to work hard to see this picture, to imaginate what's going on, especially when it's symphony or violinist, pianist plays, right? And for that, you need really to be very clever. And that's why I think it's the highest art, what we have now. And when you just going into this profession, being a musician, you really develop not only your soul, of course, because it's music, like, yes, it's something special, but your mind, because when you don't know history, literature, you cannot perform. You have to understand what just time it was when, for example, Beethoven wrote this Sonata number 10 or any piece, right? So you have to know exactly what's going on that time. And it's all inclusive, so to say. It's like you build yourself from childhood. That's why you need much time to be a real professional to play. I think so.
That's an excellent answer. Thank you. And what do you think is unique about Beethoven's music, his composition? Some people have said to me that Beethoven is unique because it takes seasoning to understand and comprehend and play his music well. And other has said that it's because he wrote the music not for his patrons who might be princes, but for people, and even in some cases for the future who he doesn't even know. What do you think is the unique thing about Beethoven?
Well, first of all, such music, what we can hear now, is he started that. So symphony, how we have it, and it was like a big start, new step, new level of classical music. And of course, in music world, Beethoven is a god. I think so. So like for me, and what is so unique, it's like mix in one personality, that he really was faithful person, so we know it, everyone knows it, but he still lived in that world. So everything what he did was really a very like not so much high in the sky, so to say. He was here on the earth man, so to say. And that's why he was really strong with correct idea how he thought it, how he saw what the world is. And yes, how you mentioned about future, because this self-confidence what he had, and he was so really confident what he's doing, what he's writing, and he was fighting all that life, because how can something happen if it's not correct, for example, and he fighted it and he showed it with his music. And that's why I think he put his name in the history, because of this clear idea. You know, it's very important for each person to have the idea why you're here, to have a purpose, and he had it. And had it very clearly from the very childhood. When he was born, he already knew what he will be. And I find this unique in Beethoven.
Well said. Now you are actually in Germany. Where in Germany are you?
In Mainz. It is near Frankfurt am Main.
I see. Have you visited Bonn, where Beethoven was born?
Unfortunately not. It's my wish, but I always try to find some time to go there.
And so we are celebrating Beethoven's 250th birthday. What thoughts do you want to impart to the world, especially to those who are young? What would you say to them on this, what we consider to be monumental birthday of a great person?
Well, first of all, just to know Beethoven and what he was and what he was doing in this world should know everyone. It's just like a big message to all people in the world. But of course, just to say something to young musicians and just to another young people, yes, who are not musicians, it's different. Because for musicians, I would say not to be afraid to play, to try, just because, you know, sometimes I know it, because I came to this idea quite late, I think. Just try to, when you see the score, try just to play music, not to see these notes, the difficulties what we have. Yes, just some technique. Just try really to follow it, to follow this idea, and then you will understand music, and especially Beethoven music, because it's really very interesting to follow his lines in the score, how he did it. It's genius, really genius. And then it will be easier to understand another composers, another music. Really, it helps a lot. For usual young people, not musicians, just not only to listen to this music, but to feel it. Because through our heart, we understand much more. It comes to us because, you know, right now there is such tendency that classical music is boring, and Beethoven is more than classical music. It's just typically fundamental what we have. And I think that this idea that classical music is boring is absolutely not right. We have to avoid it, to forget about it, because when you really come to this world and not just wait until the end of the piece, but try to analyze what's going on, then you really, I think your world, your life can change a lot. And that's what Beethoven really can do with each life in the world.
Hello, my name is Borislav Strulev. I'm a cellist, and today I have honor to wish you happy birthday to most incredible, absolutely superhero of mine, and I hope yours, Ludwig van Beethoven. He is my hero, and he wrote most beautiful 5 cello sonatas. He wrote triple concerto, where cello has, I think, absolutely major role. And I think if we listen each day, 10, 15, 20, 30, 1 hour of his music, our lives will be much richer. Our lives will be full of joy, energy, and success. This man is absolute genius, and he left us with most important knowledge which goes through his music. Thank you and bye-bye.